Talking about the black-eyed children. Black-eyed children are supposedly the devil's children. These children have pale skin with solid black eyes. The ages range from 6 years old all the way up to 16. The story I'm about to tell will literally leave chills on your body.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. I just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below, or most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video I drop. You guys are helping grow in the community. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
The Teletubbies conspiracy theory claims that the show was inspired by events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility called La La Land. Children there were isolated from the others and placed in dark rooms. But apparently 4 of those children died on the same day, inspiring the Teletubbies. Lala apparently had facial disfigurement and was isolated for 5 years, and that inspired the Teletubby Lala. Twite was a deaf, facially disfigured kid who was tied to a fence outside and had gotten frostbitten from the cold. This inspired Tinky Winky. Donka, who was starved and was very, very sick, would lay in his own vomit for days, inspired Dipsy. And finally, Paulina, who had fell into a fire and was roasted alive, inspired Poe. But you won't believe the reason they were called the Teletubbies. You see, the children's main source of entertainment in their rooms were their TVs. They were as small as a small iPad. Sometimes when they heard their toys was going to be confiscated, they would hide them in their mouths. And they had just found out that the institution was going to get rid of the TVs. And they didn't want that, and they couldn't hide the TVs in their mouths. So one of them had the great idea to hide them in their stomachs, because that's the only place they could fit. Mind you, these kids are a little bit not all the way there. So they came up with a plan to rip their insides out in order to fit the TVs inside and hide them. They tried it, and the next morning, the caregiver walked in on all 4 children, dead.
Imagine going to a family Christmas dinner and almost everyone dies from poisoning. This woman tried to kill her husband's entire family by giving them a cake she baked that was laced with arsenic. 3 family members passed away, 3 others were hospitalized, and this woman who poisoned everyone ended up taking her own life in jail. This all happened on December 23rd when 42-year-old D.S. Mora baked a cake and invited her husband's entire family over. That evening, they began cutting the cake that they would normally eat on Christmas Eve, and almost everyone complained about the taste and that it tasted a little weird. But they still ate a significant amount of cake, and almost everyone felt sick right away, and 3 people died right then and there. Investigators tested all the ingredients in the house and found that the flour used in the cake was laced with arsenic. But what's absolutely crazy is that a couple of months earlier, DS's father-in-law also suddenly died, and they exhumed his body and found high levels of poison. So they think that she also took his life. Now, you guys are probably wondering, well, what was the motive? Why did she do this? At first, the family didn't understand what caused her to commit this crime, but then they thought about it and they remembered a disagreement they had 20 years ago. 20 years ago, and they believe that she might have not got over this disagreement, and that's why she tried to unalive everyone. But things don't even end there, because while DS sat in prison, her husband told her that he wanted a divorce.
This picture
Man, people hold grudges for 20 years. That's a very dangerous person. Beware of what you're putting in your system.
Famously surfaced from 1941 because something looks very off about it. This guy, a lot of people cite this picture as proof of time travel because not only does he seemingly look very modern and out of place, but he also appears to be holding a camera that's very small, too small for any commercial grade camera of 1941. But let me explain why this is debunked. The modern t-shirt he's wearing, it's a logo for the Montreal Maroons, which was a hockey team from the 40s. The glasses were also available. They had protective side shields in the 40s too. But what about that camera? It's small enough to be a digital camera, but they did not have commercial grade cameras that were this small in the 40s. Incorrect. Kodak confirmed of a rare model of a small portable camera that was limited, but it was available by 1941, which makes this photo completely plausible.
Damn, so no time travel. You gotta take that off the list.
Humans never meant to know.
This is a 1954
1994 photo of two 4-year-old Australian boys playing in a sandbox full of asbestos. This was during a time when very little was known about the devastating effects of asbestos on humans, as both boys eventually died from mesothelioma before the age of 40. In France, you can legally marry a dead person, as long as you can prove that they planned on marrying you before they died. These were the clothing and acts of Rome's most famous executioner, Mastro Tito. He carried out a total of 516 executions over his 68-year career. Richard Klinkhammer's wife mysteriously disappeared in 1991. The next year, he wrote a book on 7 ways to kill your spouse. A few years later, the new owners of his former home found his wife's skeletal remains. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison, but was released 5 years early due to good behavior. A British Marine had a leg tattoo of Liverpool's motto, "You'll never walk alone." But after a major injury in Afghanistan, his leg was amputated and the surgeon had to cut the tattoo. So it now read, "You'll never walk."
Oh, man. Fate. It can be a scary thing.
Facts that will mess with your perception of time. Anne Frank and Martin Luther King would be the same age if they were alive today. Queen Elizabeth and Marilyn Monroe were both the same age as well. Here they are when they were both 30 years old meeting each other. George Washington died 25 years before the first dinosaur fossil was found. George Washington did not know about the existence of dinosaurs. Woolly mammoths were still walking around the earth 1,000 years after the pyramids were built. Also, Cleopatra was alive closer in time to the moon landings than the building of the Great Pyramid. NASA was already exploring space by the time scientists could agree on how plate tectonics worked. Follow for more.
Wow, really? We were that advanced back then?
World's most unsolved mysteries. This picture contains mysteries from the most well-known to the darkest. Some of these mysteries have never been solved and never will. Okay, so tier 3. Today we're going to be talking about the black-eyed children. Black-eyed children are supposedly the devil's children. These children have pale skin with solid black eyes. The ages range from 6 years old all the way up to 16. The story I'm about to tell will literally leave chills on your body. Okay, so sightings of these children have been recorded all the way back to the 1990s. During the 1990s, internet wasn't as popular as it is now, which is a very important detail because fake news couldn't spread that fast like it could now. A woman was sleeping in her bed when her dog started to growl. The dog was growling in the middle of the night around 2 a.m., so the woman woke up and peeked out of her window to see what the dog was growling at. The lady peeks through her blinds and sees a woman just staring at her front door. The lady then cracked the door open to see if maybe this woman needed help. The woman just stared at her and said, "Can I come inside?" The lady said she refused the offer and said no, and the lady's eyes turned solid black. Thousands of people from all different countries reported the same kind of sightings. Ironically, all of the reports are about people refusing to help these black-eyed children. So the real question is, what happened to the people who let the children in? So what do you think? Do you think all of these thousands of people are lying, or do you think there's something much darker inside? Make sure to like and follow because tier 4 is tomorrow.
Could be capping, man.
This is a zombified snail. Its mind is currently being hijacked by a parasitic worm that invades a snail's eye stalks where it pulsates to imitate a caterpillar. The parasite then mind controls its host out into the open for a hungry bird to pluck out its eyes. The parasite has basically done all of this because it wants to breed in a bird's guts, so somehow it's come up with this plan.
What the hell? Parasites are terrifying.
This sea otter swam up to a fisherman because she wanted to show him her favorite rock, and she even trusted him to look after it for a bit. Sea otters have built-in pockets under their arms where they store their favorite rocks and any snacks that they find that they might want to save for later. They take their rocks very seriously because they use them as tools to open their food, and when they find one that they really love, they'll keep it for as long as possible. So being trusted with a sea otter's rock, one of their most prized possessions, is truly an honor. In this case, she seemed to just want the fisherman to admire it while she twirled around for a little bit, and then she very politely reclaimed her property. Sea otters are protected, so it is illegal to touch them no matter how much it looks like they want to play with you. But they do put on quite a show even from a distance. In their downtime, they spend time practicing juggling with their rock collections. When they sleep, they hold hands to keep from floating away from each other, and they even wrap themselves in kelp like a blanket to stay anchored while they nap. A group of resting sea otters is very appropriately called a raft. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day.
This is a perfect example of one of those things that you should just never do, because what we're looking at here is the deadly
deadly blue dragon sea slug, and while they're only about an inch long, they're immune to a ton of venoms that can easily unalive humans. And not only are they immune to it, but their favorite food is extremely venomous creatures, such as the Portuguese man-o'-war. And just for reference, a sting from the Portuguese man-o'-war is enough to send you on the fast lane to the ER or 6 feet underground. But after the blue dragon finishes feasting on the man-o'-war, it actually recycles and concentrates the venom that it just consumed, then uses that reconcentrated venom as a defense mechanism to dish out a more powerful sting than the man-o'-war that it just ate. Also, the blue dragons float around upside down, with their blue stomach facing up to camouflage in with the surface of the water. So this is the one time where floating belly up doesn't mean dead, but means armed and dangerous. And as if God didn't already make them OP enough, they're also hermaphrodites, which means that they have both female and male reproductive organs. Moral of the story here is that if you see an animal that's bright and colorful, God did that as a warning sign to let you know that they're extremely dangerous and you probably shouldn't touch them.
Facts. I don't know why that person was touching it like it was a cute little pet. He was playing with his life there. You know what that is.
Facts that I wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back in.
What the hell? How do pigs do that and survive?
Rare animals that are too cute to go unnoticed. Did some research recently. Found some ones that I haven't heard of before, and now we're going to talk about them because I can't stop thinking about them. This one I can't pronounce, but I'm going to say Jaguarundi. Jaguarundi. It's a little jaguar. Look at it. Look how goofy it looks. Oh my god. It looks like a house cat that was assembled incorrectly. Like its neck goes too far. It's got too much neck. But I love it because of that. And it's been pictured several times looking like a big old dum-dum, like an idiot, like its face just looks stupid. And I really appreciate that. So we're going to give it 5 stars out of 5 stars. This next one is probably one of the cutest things I've ever seen, and it's the Siberian flying squirrel. Breathe it in, take it in. Are you alive? I almost died when I saw this thing. Oh, but Tucker, you talked about the Japanese dwarf flying squirrel. What's the difference? The difference is this thing is smaller. It's smaller than the dwarf squirrel, which logistically, like in terms of language, that doesn't make sense, but I don't care. I'm in love with this thing. It gives me powerful, cute aggression. Like I want to put it in my hand and like huck it at a wall because I love it, not because I hate it. But I would never do that, but just the weight probably is perfect for it. The sloth bear, I just feel bad for this guy, but in like a cute way. But oh, buddy, why are you looking like that? It's just a little too stretched out. Its limbs are lanky, which in my mind makes me think you could give a really good hug. It also probably could kill me pretty effectively, but I'm going to stick on the hug thing. And once again, it's just a goofy little guy. It's just being a goofball all the time. In every picture I see of it, it's being goofy, so that's a pass for me. That's a cute-ass animal. And last but not least, and I think my tastes have changed in animals because I recently got a cat, but the ring-tailed cat. Look at its face. Anything with eyes that are way too big, it just has my heart immediately. And this thing is no exception. Plus, it's got that big old poofy tail. Is that not fantastic? What more do you want? Don't be an asshole. Love him.
I thought that was a lemur. Ain't gonna lie to you.
Facts that will mess with your perception of time. Anne Frank and Martin Luther King would be the same age if they were alive today. Queen Elizabeth and Marilyn Monroe were both the same age as well. Here they are when they were both 30 years old meeting each other. George Washington died 25 years before the first dinosaur fossil was found. George Washington did not know about the existence of dinosaurs. Woolly mammoths were still walking around the earth 1,000 years after the pyramids were built. Also, Cleopatra was alive closer in time to the moon landings than the building of the Great Pyramid. NASA was already exploring space by the time scientists could agree on how plate tectonics worked. Follow for more.
That's interesting. Especially about the Cleopatra
Facts that I wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back in.
That's a fact I did not need to know about pigs. Blows my mind every time.
Shocking incidents you don't know about.
In 1978, legendary actor Charlie Chaplin's body was stolen from his grave and held for ransom. But his widow refused to pay the ransom demands of $400,000 because she said Charlie would have thought it to be ridiculous. His body was found in a cornfield 2 weeks later, and the two suspects were arrested. The Oxford English Dictionary was mostly written by William Chester Minor, a schizophrenic murderer who cut off his own pecker and spent most of his life in a mental asylum. Disney's first water park, River Country, closed in 2001. After an 11-year-old boy died from a brain-eating parasite he got in the lake. The park still lies completely abandoned to this day. A girl who grew up in a concentration camp drew this when she was asked to draw a picture of home in 1948. Frank Goldsmith was a Titanic survivor who later lived near Tiger Stadium in Detroit. But he never took his children to a ball game because the roar of the crowd reminded him of the screams of people dying in the freezing waters.
You should not eat salad right now, and this is why. The FDA has just announced that fresh express packaged salads have been linked to a Listeria outbreak. The disease outbreak has already caused one person to pass away, but it doesn't stop there. The outbreak is affecting 8 major US states, which are Illinois, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Make sure you hit the plus to stay updated.
Well, it always starts with the food, man. We gotta watch what we put into our system. Watching these clips together with you guys, man. I've changed my eating habits, or like planning to, but be careful what you put into your system. Best piece of advice I can give you guys. All them wash up on the beach? What's going on?
The first large mass stranding of these animals in around 50 years. To try and refloat the animals directly back into that surf would be challenging, and then of course that would also present some enormous safety risks for our staff and personnel.
Do you guys remember last year when this Alabama prisoner escaped with the help of jail employee Vicky White, who had a romantic relationship together? 56-year-old Vicky White worked at the Lauderdale County Jail for nearly 2 decades, and her last day on the job was April 29, 2022. But instead of celebrating with her coworkers, she planned the escape of 38-year-old Casey White, who was serving a 75-year prison sentence over multiple charges, including attempted murder from 2015. The two had been in a romantic relationship for 2 years when they planned the escape together, and when that day finally came, they were on the run for 11 days, which resulted in a manhunt across 3 states. Casey was recaptured in Evansville, Indiana, but leading up to the capture, Vicky died by suicide following a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Last month, Casey pleaded guilty to first-degree escape in exchange for having a felony murder charge involving Vicky's death dropped. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. At the court hearing, Casey stated, quote, "I loved Vicky. I wouldn't drag her name through the mud for anyone in this courtroom. Vicky took me out because she said right was right, wrong is wrong. She was the first person who gave me a hug in 6 years. We just wanted a new life together. I chose this road and it cost me my life and freedom." End quote. He apologized to Vicky's family and said that her only regret was leaving them behind. At the court hearing, Casey also said that Vicky helped him escape because she thought it was unfair that he was still in jail when others have been accused of worse crimes and have been let out. But his charges from 2015 included home invasion, 2 carjackings, multiple shootings which left a dog dead and a woman injured, and he'd also tried to kill his then-girlfriend and hold her roommates hostage. Casey is also still facing a capital murder trial for the murder of Connie Ridgway, who was found stabbed to death on her living room floor on October 23, 2015. Police in Rogersville, Alabama investigated her murder, but her case would go cold for 5 years until Casey White, who was already in jail, confessed to her murder. He has since recanted his confession and pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, but he knew details about the murder that were never publicized. That trial is set to begin on August 14th.
So there's this
He was a menace.
It's going viral and it's showing some pretty morbid data. Now, the thing that gives this credibility is that this is connected to a special interest project coming out of the FBI where they think there could be upwards of 850 victims of homicide connected to a ring of serial killers who are truck drivers. There are all these stats that they're citing, talking about 44% of truck drivers are reporting that they are clinically depressed. And you gotta think about it, these are transient people who travel some of the most desolate roads in America, and it is very, very hard to track a transient serial killer. They have almost no connection to any of the places where they hypothetically kill, so local jurisdiction can't really pinpoint who they are.
So beware of truck drivers. We've seen clips of what happens when, I guess, when they break mentally.
What's the scariest urban legend from your state? Today we're doing Kentucky. This is the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. It was created in 1883 by Major Thomas H. Hayes. He built it as a personal home, but it was far away from any schools, so he just started a school right there for his child to go to school. It was the teacher that he hired that really enjoyed the Waverly novels, and that's how it's got its name, Waverly Hills. In the early 1900s, the White Death, or the outbreak of tuberculosis, hit Kentucky really hard. Which there is currently an outbreak of tuberculosis in Kansas, and that's scary and a whole different story. But there is no known cure for tuberculosis, and doctors were trying to find a cure, but this would often come with barbaric experiments, I guess. But Waverly Hills kept its name even when it became a sanatorium for tuberculosis patients. But many patients came to Waverly Hills, and there they were doing experiments to try to find a cure for tuberculosis, and some of these would be really barbaric. Fresh air was often considered to be a cure for tuberculosis, so you would see these pictures of patients being outside, some of them even covered in snow. That sounds like absolute torture to me because I hate snow, but these aren't the worst things. Like, they would do surgeries to, like, take out ribs and muscles around the ribs to allow the lungs more air to inhale oxygen. They would also insert balloons to the lungs to help them fill up with air. Like, it was just super barbaric, and a lot of people did not survive these surgeries.
Who would?
Doctors also thought that mental health was a huge part in getting better from tuberculosis. So when someone would die, they would secretly take them to this like rail car that would take the bodies directly to the highway to be disposed of. It's not known exactly how many people passed away from not only just the disease tuberculosis, but also from these experimental things they were doing. Waverly Hills has gone through a lot and has even been a minimum security prison at one point, but now many people think that this place is extremely haunted, if not one of the most haunted places in the United States. Allegedly, it is haunted by a nurse who took her own life probably because of some of the things that she saw at the Waverly Sanatorium, but also a little boy named Tim. I read more stories about Tim, but apparently he's a little child who likes to play with balls. He'll like scoot them across the floor and like throw them around. But people also hear disembodied voices, doors opening and closing, slamming on their own. And people often see white figures just kind of floating around. Here is one picture. I kind of can see something there, but then at the same time I'm like, it's probably just a trick of the light. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's one of the most haunted places in the United States? Let me know down in the comments and follow for more creepy things.
Sounds like it.
Have you ever had a nightmare that came true? For a year before she went missing, Cindy Anderson would have nightmares of a man who knocked on her door, and when she went to answer it, he would abduct her, torment her, and then take her life. Cindy would share these fears and these scary dreams with her mother, but this was all kind of blown off. Cynthia Anderson was only 20 years old when she went missing. She was lovingly known by Cindy by her friends and family. She was born and raised in a very conservative Christian environment. Cindy was known to not only be beautiful, but she was also quiet and very obedient. She was dating a boy at the time, and it seemed like the relationship was going very well, and they were taking it very seriously as they planned on attending Bible college together. Cindy was looking forward to quitting her job and starting this new chapter in her life. At the time of her disappearance, she was looking for a lawyer's office in a strip mall in Toledo, Ohio. There was no indication that she had plans to run away or disappear from society. 10 months before she went missing, a message appeared on the wall that was outside of her office window. This message said, "I love you, Cindy," by GW. This was incredibly unsettling for Cindy, as she didn't know a GW and she didn't know who wrote this message. It would take a solid 6 months for this message to be cleaned up from the wall, but within a couple of weeks the message reappeared, but this time it was larger. It appeared as if this message was directed specifically for her because she got a full view of it from her office window. Shortly after this message appeared, Cindy started getting phone calls at her office that made her really unsettled. Even the people she worked with in this office were unsettled by this and were really concerned for her safety. They asked Cindy to have her doors locked at all times, even during the working hours, and they even installed an emergency buzzer on her desk, just in case there was an emergency. That way she could press it in alerts surrounding businesses. The day before Cindy disappeared, she was working with a client in her office, and the client remembers her receiving a phone call that left her with a look of horror on her face. She quickly hung up, but the caller called back, and Cindy once again picked up and hung up. The client asked her if she was okay, and she said that she was fine and just receiving these phone calls that made her a little bit unsettled. The client said that the look on her face was as if someone had scared the hell out of her. We'll get into more in part 2. Remember to like and follow along. If you like this kind of stuff, it helps my algorithm and it helps yours. But if you're interested in part 2, it'll be right down there in the comments.
As a giant creature up to 15 feet tall, a skeletal frame, an emaciated humanoid with glowing eyes, elongated limbs, and jagged teeth, embodying a sinister and predatory presence. The Wendigo is an evil winter spirit that is said by the indigenous people to possess humans by biting them in their dreams. Once bitten, it can cause people to crave flesh and even become deranged cannibals. Some people are more prone to Wendigo possession than others, particularly those who are gluttonous or greedy, as well as those who are hungry or starving. There have been many cases of cannibalism and violence that were said to be caused by the Wendigo. In Canada, in the winter of 1879, a man named Swift Runner and his family was snowed in by a brutal winter and low on food. He claimed a Wendigo spirit appeared in his dreams and demanded him to eat his family. He was tried for his crimes and faced the death penalty. In the early 1900s, psychologists coined the term Wendigo psychosis to describe a syndrome among certain indigenous communities in North America. People suffering from this syndrome would crave human flesh even when other food was available.
A TikToker murdered his wife and the man he thought she was cheating with. Ali Abulaban posted TikToks under the name Jin Kid to almost 1 million followers. However, he became known for an entirely different reason in October 2021 after 2 horrific murders. Ali was from San Diego and was married to Anna, who was 28 years old. The pair had been together 7 years and they had a 5-year-old daughter. The couple had actually been having difficulties in their relationship, and it was said that Ali was physically abusive to his wife. She wanted to be free from the marriage and the pair became estranged. Now, Ali started to convince himself that his wife was being unfaithful with her male friend Rayburn Barron, aged 29. Ali had actually been living in a hotel after his wife had kicked him out of their apartment. On the 18th of October, it's believed that Ali used his 5-year-old daughter's iPad to download a listening app. He then snuck back into the property that he previously lived in with his wife and placed the iPad in there so that he could spy on her. After using the app to listen, he said that he had heard a male voice talking with his wife. He stormed back into the apartment where he shot Rayburn and struck his wife in the head. They were tragically both killed. He then called his mum to confess to the double killing and shockingly then decided to go and pick his daughter up from school, still holding the gun. He has now been convicted of the murders and will be sentenced to the killings shortly. He could get up to life in prison.
Most people... Jealousy. One of the most dangerous traits in the world. It can break you down, man. And they make you do unspeakable things.
People won't be able to see it. Most people are just gonna see a busy, crowded street with a bunch of cars on it. But if you squint your eyes really good, you'll be able to see it. Look, if you see it, then subscribe and comment down below.
SCP-2030 is classified as Keter. It is an anomalous phenomenon manifesting as a TV series titled Laugh is Fun, or variations thereof. The show appears on various media formats, adapting to current popular ones. Containment procedures. A Foundation-operated web analysis bot is continuously operated and maintained to remove SCP-2030 from file sharing and video streaming sites. Locating SCP-2030's origin is a top priority. Description: SCP-2030 mimics popular TV show's box art, misleading viewers into watching it. The show is a hidden camera series displaying people's reactions to bizarre and often disturbing situations. SCP-2031, the host, appears in a blue suit and only from the neck down. He reveals to the victims that they are on a TV show, instantly calming them, regardless of the distress they experience. The show's episodes revolve around various themes, ranging from mundane to violent and strange. The audience usually consists of individuals featured in the episode, all of whom are documented as having died or gone missing in the year they appeared on SCP-2030. Investigations into their deaths show inconsistencies, and exhumations reveal their bodies are missing. It's suspected that SCP-2030 abducts these individuals after their appearance on the show. The show's pranks are often extreme and disturbing, involving anomalous events and graphic imagery. SCP-2031's closing remarks are typically cryptic, ending with repeated exhortations to laugh with us.
This is the most expensive horse in the world that was sold last week for a price of $54 million. Can you believe it? To explain, this price is justified for two reasons. Because it was elected the most beautiful horse in the world, because of its coat. It's a coat that is somewhat silvery, as you can see here. It's just magnificent, and it comes from a lineage of racehorses with a great track record. So it's for these two reasons that at auction, it went for over $50 million. Can you imagine $50 million for a horse? Well, of course, it's just magnificent. When you see its coat, its fur, really, it truly looks like mother of pearl. The reflections of light on its fur, etc., it's just magnificent. For horse enthusiasts, if you have the money, would you have spent this sum for this horse? No! After all, it could be an investment, you can breed it, and maybe there will be some foals with these physical characteristics. Your opinion in the comments.
Millions of...
I don't care, they got the best looking coat in the whole galaxy, man. I ain't spending 50 mil on the horse, even if I had that type of money. See, that's wild. Some people got too much money. If you got $50 million to spend on a horse, I think you fall in that category. Y'all doing that, seekers? Y'all biting that bullet and paying 50 mil for a horse? Not me.
Cicadas will be emerging from the ground in the next month, and there's like this whole coincidence between that and the solar eclipse that's happening on April 8th, so now I want to share what I've learned. If you didn't know, there are certain cicadas called periodical cicadas, meaning they spend most of their life underground as nymphs and will emerge to transform into adults and mate. Some of these broods or groups of periodical cicadas will emerge once every 13 years or others every 17 years. Now, these broods are independent of one another, so they normally don't emerge at the same time, but normally doesn't mean never. For the first time since 1803, when there were only 17 states in the US, two broods will emerge at the same time in the same place right here on the map in Illinois. If that wasn't coincidence enough, this is the path of the solar eclipse that happened back in 2017, and this is the path the solar eclipse will have next month on April 8th. So in the same place and time that next month's solar eclipse intersects with the solar eclipse that occurred in 2017, two broods of cicadas will converge for the first time in over 200 years. That probably doesn't mean anything at all unless you're superstitious, but I just thought it was way too interesting not to share.
Can you accidentally stab someone to death with a kitchen knife? Teresa Hansen and her husband Paul were a couple from West Cowick in East Yorkshire. They were apparent childhood sweethearts and had met in the 1980s and been inseparable ever since. It was 2022 and Paul was 55 working as a construction manager. Teresa was 54. Now the couple did have children together, including their adult son Ryan. Just after Christmas that year, the couple had been reportedly arguing. Paul had been drinking quite a lot more than usual over the festive season and Teresa wasn't happy about this. She decided to broach the subject with him while she was cooking one day. Teresa claimed that she was chopping onions for a dish she was making when he came into the kitchen on the 28th of December. She said he was verbally abusive to her, which wasn't out of the ordinary. He was calling her names and was saying to throw the effing dinner in the bin. She stated that he was getting more and more irate with her, and when she turned around, he walked into the knife that she was holding. The knife went into Paul's heart, and in a panic, Teresa called 999. She attempted to cover the wound over and save him, but tragically he died from blood loss. At Teresa's trial, the judge actually stated to Teresa that he believed she didn't intend to kill her husband. However, he did state that he does believe that she intended to hurt him. He said that she experienced a moment of violence. Teresa and Paul's children pleaded with the judge to be lenient with their mother, but she was jailed for life.
A 32-kilometer high tower is being planned that will be suspended from an asteroid. Yes, 32 kilometers. That's 20 miles high, and it's totally real, proposed by Clouds Architecture 2017. For reference, the current tallest building in the world is the Burj Khalifa in Dubai at 830 meters. This will be almost 40 times higher. Called Anilima Tower, it's planned to be attached to an asteroid 50,000 kilometers in space, suspended by a series of cables that will hold the building in place. The asteroid will follow a figure-8 path in Earth's orbit, moving at 480 kilometers an hour, so the tower will actually fly through different cities every day. This mega high-rise will sort of be its own self-sustained city, not even connected to the ground, and divided into separate sections, each with their own purpose. Starting with entertainment, shopping, dining, and office spaces at the very bottom, we go into the gardening and agriculture section, and then the residential above that. The monument, which will probably be for like nice views and sightseeing, worship for religion, and reliquary, which is a place used to store sacred relics. I kind of wonder what they're going to keep there. Then at the very top is the funerary. Their cemetery, which will be so high that you get an extra 42 minutes of daylight and a 10% horizon visibility. Maybe we'll finally be able to see the curvature of the Earth from up there. The top of this tower will be more than 3 times the average cruising altitude of a commercial airliner. Partially powered through solar panels, and water will be supplied filtered through clouds and rain. There are still so many unanswered questions for this project, like how will people even get off the building, which the company suggested parachutes, or how will anyone even survive in residential units higher than Mount Everest, where oxygen is thin and temperatures at -40 all year round. At the end of the day, this is just a proposal that hasn't started construction yet, and they do say that we don't exactly have the technology to support it yet. But it does seem like they put some very serious thought into it, so I don't know, Dream Home 2050, or is this just a tower version of Snowpiercer?
These are the
Who would even want to live? I'm about to say something like that, man. You're disconnected from Earth. It's not even possible. You probably have to wear a freaking oxygen mask everywhere you go. That doesn't even seem plausible. When you connect it to an asteroid, that's just asking for trouble, man. Sometimes we try to push the envelope too much.
7 weirdest laws in the world. Number 7. In Hong Kong, it's legal to murder cheaters. According to ancient Chinese law, a wife can kill her cheating husband as long as she only uses her bare hands. The husband, however, can kill his cheating lover in any way that he wants. Double standard or based? Comment below. Number 6. There's only one Messi allowed in Argentina. In 2014, a law passed in the footballer's hometown of Rosario, which made it illegal to name your child Messi. You could say that situation sounds untidy. Number 5. In China, it's illegal to reincarnate without government permission. The law specifies that reincarnations won't be recognized without state approval and must be born within China's borders. Number 4. It's illegal to be drunk in a pub in the UK. Look, we're all guilty of having one too many at the local, but it's actually illegal to be drunk in a pub at all. According to Section 12 of the Licensing Act of 1872, you could face a £200 fine if you're found to be intoxicated in a pub or any licensed venue. PC gone mad. Number 3, in Montana, a couple can get married despite neither of them attending. This is known as a double proxy wedding, where a friend can stand in for the bride or the groom as long as they're a Montana resident, or an active member of the military. While there are a few US states that allow single proxy wedding, Montana is the only one that allows no one getting married to actually show up. Number 2, ponces get locked up in England and Wales. That's right, you're not actually allowed to ask your friends for money. According to the Vagrancy Act of 1824, it's deemed illegal begging to ask a friend or anyone for money when you're a couple of quid short. Number 1's insane, disgusting, possibly sexist. Before I get to it, please, if you like these sorts of videos, please just drop me a follow. It really helps me out. Thank you. Number 1, in Missouri, it's legal to let women burn. According to a local law in St. Louis, Missouri, it's illegal for a fireman to rescue a woman from a burning building if she's nude, or just in a nightgown. In order for her to be rescued, she must be fully clothed. Of course, the opposite doesn't apply to men. You can save them no matter what they're wearing. Gotta love the South.
Apocalyptic events that could end the world tomorrow. The Big Crunch theory says that the expansion of the universe, first created from the original Big Bang, will eventually halt, at which point it will begin to contract from the force of its own gravity, sucking everything that exists back into a singularity. That means that every galaxy, star, and planet would cease to exist, which of course includes Earth and by extension, us. Heat death of the universe is a theory that is basically the exact opposite of the Big Crunch, which says that gravity will never halt the expansion of the universe and that it will continue to widen forever and ever. But the laws of thermodynamics say that if our universe continues to expand infinitely, that all matter will eventually become evenly dispersed throughout the universe, causing stars to go out and ultimately leaving Earth and everything else in cold, dark nothingness.
Photos that look normal until you
That's
find
interesting.
out the horrific backstory. This is a photo of the survivors of the Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 crash in the Andes. They were stranded for 2.5 months before being rescued. They resorted to cannibalism in order to survive. If you look closely, you can see a human spine in this photograph. While this appears like a regular family portrait, it is anything but. A couple days after this was taken, the man on the right, Charlie Lawson, murdered everyone in this photo on Christmas Day of 1929. The only one who escaped was the boy on the left of the photo, 16-year-old Arthur Lawson. While this looks like a photo of a bunch of camp counselors, it is actually a photo of Auschwitz staff enjoying themselves while on break. They probably killed people horrifically shortly before and after this photograph was taken. The girl in this photo was weeks away from leaving for college when she went on a hike with her troubled ex-boyfriend. While taking in the view, her ex-boyfriend Bunner shot her in the back of the head. This is the last photo of her. It was taken by Bunner just moments before he killed her.
Did you hear about this YouTuber who just got kidnapped by a real-life yeti while he was hiking in Alaska? No way. The footage at the end is the scariest thing I've ever seen, fam. Luke Nichols, a popular YouTuber from the United States, just encountered one of the most deadliest and feared creatures thought to roam the snow-covered lands of Alaska, the yeti. Luke was out on a hiking trip to the Yupik territory when his snowmobile suddenly got stuck in the midst of the snow-covered forest. He tried for hours and hours to get it out, but as the darkness fell, it became clear he would have to set up camp and hope for the best. When he was building his snow fortress, out of nowhere he heard a loud, roaring noise, similar to that of a lion. He was frightened. It didn't sound like the brown bears he was used to. Every 5 minutes the roar would seem to get closer and louder and louder and closer. In his snow tent, he could hear footsteps from outest. He was extremely terrified. He took out his phone to video it, and what he saw will send shivers down your spine. It was the Yeti. It was real. To see the video, comment your date of birth, and we will send it via DM. Why did God create Satan even though he can see the future? Because you know how God can see all things, right? So the debate was, why would he create Lucifer even though he knows all of the angels would blah blah blah, right? Now check this out. All of God's angels, the main angels are who? Gabriel, Daniel, Raphael. All of these angels, they end in what? L. Lucifer ends in what? L? It's not an L. R. Lucifer. Oh, Lucifer is the only one that fell. Now check this out, fam. So the theory is, I mean, it's not even a theory, Loki, this is what happened, is he created Lucifer just because as a choice. I know you're gonna fail, but let's just see if you prove me wrong, Temple. Because it's just free will. It's literally just free will. It's like you being a father to a son and letting him choose by himself if he's gonna be doing good or bad. Yeah. Because you gave him that choice of being free, the option. Now he can truly say like, okay, that was the utmost respect. You know, because he can't force you to do anything.
Because do you think God, what do you call this? He forces like a root on us, but like
no. I think everybody has a root and everybody's meant to do something, but at the end of the day, there's many.
Because two paths may just lead into one destination.
Yeah.
The wrong door and then being murdered because of it. Well, that's what happened to 56-year-old Maria Cotto after visiting a client at an apartment building in Westchester. Maria Maria was a caseworker for the county's Department of Social Services and was conducting home visits when she accidentally knocked on 31-year-old Hasim Jenkins' front door. When he answered the door, instead of directing Maria to the correct apartment, he punched her in the face. Maria tried running from him, but he chased her into a neighbor's apartment and he continued to kick her in the head with a pair of heavy boots. Somehow, while this was all going on, she managed to call 911, but when police arrived, Hasim claimed that Maria tried to stab him and that's why he beat her. But that never happened. She only knocked on his door because she thought that was her client's home. This poor lady suffered severe brain bleeding, brain swelling, and multiple facial fractures. She was placed on a ventilator, but unfortunately, she passed away a month later. When Hasim was arrested, Maria's phone was found in his pocket, and now he's facing a long list of charges, including second-degree murder. And something her family said, which is so sad, is that this all happened the year before Maria planned to retire.
If you ever feel like someone's watching you, they probably are. This, my friends, is the Dark Watchers. Click the plus drop a like, tag a friend, or they might find you. It is said that the Dark Watchers' faces have never been seen before. They make no noise and have never talked to anybody. But as soon as they have you in their sights, you're done for. My question to you guys is, would you still go outside?
The Dark Watchers? Hell no. I'm more vigilant.
This incestuous family took the lives of over 1,000 people. This is the true story of Wrong Turn. In the 16th century, a man named Sawney Bean decided to run away with his girlfriend to the shores of Galloway County in Scotland, where he began living in a cave, surviving by stealing food and belongings from passing tourists. Sawney Bean and his wife had children with whom they committed incest. This family began to grow, as they all had relationships with each other. Sawney Bean's clan grew to 48 people, and what they stole was no longer enough to eat. The Bean family began to take the lives of people who passed near their cave, and then eat them. For 25 years, this family survived doing this savage activity, until one day a couple was attacked by the Bean family, but the man managed to defend himself with a gun, but his wife did not survive. The man had discovered the cave of the Bean clan, so he decided to report it to the authorities. After that, the soldiers of the King of Scotland went to the cave where they captured the whole family, and then they were condemned to be burned at the stake.
Russ McKamey from McKamey Manor, one of America's most infamous haunted house attractions, was just arrested. So if you don't know Russ McKamey, this is a long, dark rabbit hole. Basically, he runs an attraction called McKamey Manor. This is run on his property, out of his house, and it has been billed as the most extreme horror experience you could possibly put yourself through. Basically, when you sign up for this, you sign your life away. Inside of this attraction, where you go on your own personal tour, they abuse people. They subject them to horrific mental torture. They force them to eat things, injure them, and do all sorts of just horrific stuff.
Not for me.
So for years, people have been questioning how this whole thing is legal, because it really does sit on the very edge of what's legal and what's illegal when it comes to physical abuse and harm. But just a few days ago, Russ McKamey, the guy that owns and operates this place, was arrested. But it wasn't for charges based on his haunted house attraction.
Whoa.
He has actually been charged with second-degree attempted murder, rape, and domestic assault. These charges are coming from Russ's ex-girlfriend, who's claiming that he tried to kill her on multiple occasions. And the arrest affidavit even states that at one point Russ allegedly strangled her out of consciousness. And on Friday, July 19th, the police said that Russ had raped his girlfriend and strangled her again, which would be the second time that he did so. So we're going to see how this case plays out. I will keep y'all updated. But this is shocking news. I mean, I've followed this story for almost 10 years now. I've always thought what he was doing was extremely bizarre and disturbing. Especially the fact that he films all of these tortures, these legal tortures, and sells them to people online. Which is just an even more disturbing element to me, that there are people out there that purchase this stuff and probably get off on it. But yeah, what do you think about McKamey Manor? Let me know in the comment section below.
They need to shut that place down, bro. I don't sound like a freaking haunted house. That just sounds like a damn torture chamber. And he's selling those videos online to make them profit. The signs are all right there. Just have to pay attention. Edit. Call them when we see it.
Creepiest home camera footage. In 2017, a mother in Billings, Montana woke up in the middle of the night to a notification on her phone. Her phone was sensed to a baby monitor she had set up in her infant daughter's room. On this night, upon being alerted, she opened the app expecting to see her daughter awake in the crib. But instead she saw this. A man she didn't know is seen crouched down in the room. She saw this and ran to the room to retrieve her daughter and run out the house. She didn't see anyone in the room but wasn't exactly looking. When she called the cops, they arrived and conducted a search of the home but didn't find anything. A very odd detail is that it was found that nothing but the remote to a dog shock collar was stolen from the house. Who this man is and how he got in the house is still unknown.
So someone was definitely dead.
Scary story about the mistake. A girl named Kelly was on a business trip for 3 days, and she was so excited to see her husband and kid. But when she got home, the only one that was waiting for her was her kid. Kelly then asked, "Where's Daddy?" and her kid then said, "Upstairs with a girl." Kelly immediately got a pit in her stomach and walked up the stairs slowly, and then opened their bedroom door and saw her husband in there with another girl. Kelly started to scream and cry, and her husband tried to explain himself. But Kelly wasn't listening at all. And in a pit of rage, Kelly went down to the kitchen and grabbed a knife. She then went back into the room and stabbed her husband countless times. The other woman in the room was shocked and completely lost for words. Kelly then pointed the knife at her and said, "You're next." But then the woman said, "Wait, he wasn't cheating on you. He thought you weren't going to be home till tomorrow, and I'm a party planner. And he hired me to set up and throw a party for you." The woman then showed Kelly the idea her husband had. Kelly then dropped the knife and couldn't believe what she just did. Kelly then went downstairs, grabbed her kid, and left. And to this day, nobody has ever seen Kelly or her kid again.
Is that a true story?
About at night. Horned lizards squirt blood from their eyes. The Devil's Bible is a real book. If the sun exploded, you would not know about it for 8 minutes. 20% of children report hearing voices.
Scary facts you wish you knew.
Okay.
There's a shack called the Devil's Toy Box in Louisiana. And for some reason, people who go in lose their minds. You know the tingly feeling you get when you eat a pineapple? Well, that's because the pineapple is eating you. It has an enzyme called bromelain, and that enzyme eats meat, which you're made of. I'm gonna stick to watermelon. No one can comment on this video and get 0 likes. Sharks have been around for 420 million years, meaning they have survived all 4 big mass extinctions, making them older than dinosaurs, Mount Everest, and even some trees on this planet. Yet we could potentially see them go extinct in our lifetime. The person who invented homework came up with the idea as a punishment for his students. Now you can check if your phone activity is being monitored. Just click on share, slide all the way to the end, click more, and if any apps appear before your contacts, you should delete it immediately. This is a photo of Lyndon B. Johnson. In it, he's being sworn as president, just 2 hours after JFK was unalived. And the woman he's standing next to is Jackie Kennedy, who still had her husband's blood on her shirt. Lyndon B. Johnson turned to his friend, Albert Thompson, while Albert smirked and winked back. The photographer who captured the picture called the photo completely sinister. Doja Cat scares me. Studies show that people who like and follow me get smarter every day.
That thing with bromelain, man, about eating pineapples, I know like a couple of y'all had that feeling, you know, you eat pineapples, you feel something on your tongue. I was like, I've always wanted to know, like, why did that happen after eating a couple pieces of pineapple? And we know the pineapple was eating me back, bro. Learning some wild facts today, man.
Things that bother you, they never bother me. Haven't got a lot, I don't need a lot. Coffee's only a dime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight,
Oh, some stuff from back now, back in the day.
You probably didn't know about.
Oh, what the hell? Is that a skinwalker or something? We definitely heard that. What the hell? There ain't no damn dog. Okay. That one might be an edit. I'm gonna have to go cap on that last one.
Creepiest things found in movie backgrounds. In the movie It, when Ben is reading about Derry's past in the library, the elder librarian can be seen in the background turning towards him and staring at him with a deeply unsettling grin. She remains out of focus the whole time, and the movie never highlights her creepy behavior. In the movie Hereditary, when Peter wakes up in the darkened and eerily silent house, you can spot his possessed mom hovering in the corner of the ceiling and staring at him. When he turns towards the corner she is at, she is then seen crawling away in the other direction without making a sound. In the movie Insidious, Renee spots a little ghost boy through the window dancing to Tiptoe Through the Tulips. But the ghost can actually be seen before Renee spots him dancing. Right in this scene when she tosses clothes in the laundry hamper, you can see the boy standing just to her left and facing the wall.
You watched Longlegs, but you didn't quite get it. Let me help you. The movie centers entirely around the Book of Revelation, also known as the Book of the Apocalypse. And throughout the movie, McKamey Manor's character repeats a chapter of the book. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on its horns, and on each head a blasphemous name. The unholy trinity is made up of 3 main characters: the dragon, the beast of the sea, and the beast of the earth. This makes up a triangle, which we see Harker draw in the film, but also in the Book of Revelation, we learn that the devil's number is 666, which is why the birthday unalivings happen within 6 days of the kids' birthdays. The dragon, also known as the serpent, is Satan, and this is why we see flashes of snakes throughout the film. The beast of the sea is also known as the Antichrist, which is Longlegs. The beast of the earth is also known as the false prophet, which is Harker's mom. The Antichrist needed help from the false prophet to spread his message, which is what we see in the movie where Longlegs needed Ruth's help to spread dolls, the message. In the Book of Revelation, it states that the false prophet is allowed to give breath to the image of the beast being the dolls. And the quote continues to say, so that the image of the beast can even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. This is why the dolls have the little silver ball in their head, because it holds parts of the Antichrist in them, and the dolls and the ball are able to speak to the families. And if they didn't worship the beast, then they'd be... Since we learned that Harker's doll is still alive and holding the Antichrist in it, this is why Harker has somewhat of that sixth sense throughout the film when she's being drawn to Longlegs, and why she hears like whispering throughout the movie, because it's still able to speak to her. And at the end of the movie, we see that Harker didn't get rid of the image of the beast, so we can just see that the Antichrist is still somewhat alive and well, and at the end, maybe this is setting up a possible sequel.
Top 5 countries with the longest school days. Australia, 6.5 hours. France, 8 hours. South Korea, 8 hours. Kenya, 8 hours. China, 9.5 hours.
Could you guys imagine, man, being in school for 9.5 hours, bro? I remember when I was complaining about the freaking my school hours, man, but I couldn't survive 9.5 hours in school, bro. I couldn't.
Last words of Satanists before dying. Aleister Crowley. I am perplexed. Anton Lavey. Oh my, what have I done? There is something very wrong. David Hume. I am in flames. Voltaire. I am abandoned by God and man. I will give you half of what I am worth if you give me 6 months of life. Sir Francis Newport. Oh, that fire. Oh, the insufferable pangs of hell. Thomas Paine. Stay with me, for God's sake. I can't bear to be left alone. Oh, Lord, help me.
Ooh.
This is a scary story about Do Not Open.
Creepy last
There was
words.
an 18-year-old girl named Mia who was in her first year of college. She lived alone in an apartment near her university. One night when she was doing the dishes, she got a call from her friend Pete. She picked it up and he said, "I'm bored, I want to hang out." Mia said, "Yeah, me too, come over." Pete then said he'll be over in 15 to 20 minutes. She then hung up and decided to take a shower. Mia was in the middle of shampooing her hair when she suddenly heard a loud banging on the door. She stuck her head out of the shower and said, "Come in, it's open." But a few minutes later, the banging on the door started again. She then stuck her head out of the shower again and said, "Come in, it's not locked." Just then, her phone started to ring, and it was Peter.
Mia said, I'm in the shower. Why don't you stop knocking and just come in? Peter's voice sounded extremely scared and he said, do not open the door. Mia said, why not? I'm outside your apartment building, whispered Peter. And I just saw a strange woman coming up the stairs to your apartment covered in blood and holding a knife. And she was smiling weirdly and didn't look human at all.
The term saved by the bell is a harmless way to describe that you barely made it through a situation. Let's talk about the terrifying history of the term saved by the bell. Epilepsy is a medical condition where an individual experiences an uncontrolled amount of muscle rigidity and unresponsiveness. What's terrifying is family members would think that their loved one had passed and put them in a coffin, however, they were still very much alive. After having multiple people buried alive, they invented a casket where a bell was hooked on the inside of it. Once the individual who was buried in a coffin snapped out of their coma-like state, they could ring the bell and pray that someone was nearby to hear them.
Saved by the bell. Now we've heard that before.
Top 5 countries with the most civilian firearms by estimated number in possession. Russia 17.6 million, Pakistan 43.9 million, China 49.7 million, India 71.1 million, United States 393.3 million.
Serial killer facts that are absolutely shocking. BT.3. In the John Wayne Gacy case, there were so many bodies crammed underneath the house that the bodies melted together, and the bones had to be sorted for more than 2 years to put together the full skeletons. Pee Wee Gaskins, the most prolific serial killer in South Carolina, drove around in a hearse with a bumper sticker that read, "I hold dead people." He told people that he needed it to take the bodies of people he killed to his private cemetery. Jeffrey Dahmer didn't eat people with tattoos because he said the ink made the flesh taste weird.
Weird facts, man. First one was chilling, bro. That they freaking melted together, man. Whew.
The most dangerous dates in 2024.
Talk about it.
Rainbow sky, January 6th. Very cold day, negative 99 degrees,
Damn.
January 17th. Huge moon, January 29th. Blue moon, February 11th.
Okay.
Red yellow moon, February 25th. Lunar eclipse, March 10th. Spring thunderstorm, March 22nd. Starfall, April 5th. Bloody rain, April 16th. Star rain, May 4th. Blood moon, May 14th. Super moon, May 26th. Abnormal heat, 45 degrees, June 7th. Severe thunderstorm, June 15th. Shower from June 19th to June 22nd. Yellow moon, June 29th. Terrible thunderstorm, July 3rd. Severe thunderstorm with hail on July 11th.
Just natural disasters?
This horror game used your webcam and social media profiles in order to create your own personal horror, but it no longer exists. Let's talk about Asylum 626.
Okay.
More obscure horror games right here. Asylum 626 is the sequel to Hotel 626, and this one is even more ambitious. And yes, this was also a game to promote 2 new Doritos flavors that they were bringing back. Before playing, the game actually has you log into your Facebook profile, and it uses it in a pretty interesting way. The game will show you an image of 2 people tied up with 2 photos next to each person. And each of these photos are pictures of your friends from your Facebook profile. You basically have to choose which friend gets tortured in the asylum. There's also a jump scare scene where you have to look deep in a dirty sink, and it will actually show your webcam image as the reflection in the water. The game would also make an actual post on your Facebook page alerting which friend you chose to be tortured in the asylum. It was actually pretty interesting. It's really a shame we can't play Hotel 626 or Asylum 626 anymore. Let's talk about the...
What the hell happened to those games, man? Why did they just suddenly disappear off the net? Never used to promote Doritos. Very weird, man.
Lore behind a disturbing god from fear and hunger. The Tormented One. More unique horror games right here. Before he was one of the new gods, the Tormented One used to be a man. In fact, he was a poet who had a great reverence for the arts. However, he believed that truly beautiful art could only be created through pain and suffering, and he kept those same ideals when he completed his journey to become a god. He kept his body in a state of constant torture on purpose. However, he did not only apply these ideals to himself. This is the Red Man, and he's an example of a creature that was tortured by the Tormented One for over 100 years straight. In-game, he's barely able to crawl towards you by the time you see him. Quick fact, the rings you see around the Tormented One are actually based on some rings that you see in the final boss room of Silent Hill 4.
Horses are much bigger than people, so naturally they just have a lot more blood than we do. So whenever horses get nosebleeds, it ends up looking like a whole crime scene. So one of the only reasons we know how many people died in the Titanic are the shoes that are laying on the ocean floor. Some are pretty cool, others are kind of depressing. And the reason we count the shoes instead of, bones is because when the Titanic hit the floor, all the corpses kind of just scattered and the fish ate the corpses, but the fish couldn't eat the shoes. If you ever decide to go climb Mount Everest, I hope that you remember that the crevices in the ice are V-shaped. Which means if you were to ever accidentally fall down one, you more than likely wouldn't die instantly. Your body heat would melt the ice around you, causing you to slip further and further down until your chest couldn't expand enough to breathe. So make sure you bring a friend just as crazy as you to help get you out.
If the bone in the leg breaks and shatters completely, here's how doctors fix it. Let's find out. First, the person is anesthetized to prevent pain. The doctor makes an incision over the leg at the location of the break, then extracts the entire bone. Holes are made above the knee and on the side of the leg, and then an intramedullary rod is inserted between the bones in such a manner. Subsequently, this intramedullary rod is fixed with metal in a way that it does not move. Afterward, a hole is made above the bone and a wire is threaded through it. Then a tourniquet circular friction lathe machine is attached over the leg, and these wires are connected to it. This machine has 2 bolts on the sides, which function like buttons. When these are turned, the machine starts to separate the bones. Thus, bones that have been misaligned and entangled due to the injury are separated and straightened with the help of this machine. And within a few days, the bone starts to heal.
Weird process, man. I can't even imagine having to go through that. Rod in your leg.
This is insane. The big Texan.
These are scary cartoon truths that would terrify you.
Texan?
Part 10. Okay, so Hello Kitty was created back in the 1970s by a Chinese woman whose daughter had cancer. The doctors told the mother there was nothing she could do, and her daughter will die. The mother then went to every church and prayed for her daughter, but none of it worked. The mother then became very desperate and turned to devil worshipping and satanic rituals. She then made a pact with the devil himself. But if the devil cured her daughter's cancer, he wanted one thing in return. He wanted her to create a cartoon character to appeal to children all over the world and to trick people into worshipping the devil. And when her daughter recovered from cancer, she kept her promise and created Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty is no melt because her daughter had melt cancer. Her pointy ears represent the devil's horns. The word kitty means demon in Chinese. So Hello Kitty actually means Hello Demon.
The more you know, man. Made a deal with the devil.
Strange insectoid creatures were scattered across large segments of Chicago's oldest sewer system. They were forming true nests of creatures that had never seen the light of day, feeding on waste, moisture, and in ways that have not been possible to determine.
Is this an edit, y'all? I think we're gonna have to go with edit. Cause you definitely would have seen something, right? Heard about it.
The following records revealed the presence of hyperdeveloped creatures inhabiting the tunnels. Contact with these creatures was mostly through probes with cameras, although on some occasions.
So about
I'm gonna have to go cap on that one.
3 little girls were murdered in a dance class 10 others were injured. Of course, that teenager was arrested, but official sources never identified who this guy is exactly. There were several protests and riots in the UK across several cities in the country, and there was a mosque that was destroyed and burned down as a form of revenge because of what happened in Southport. About 1 day later, after this incident, the government, the media, and the police have officially identified who the killer is. He's a teenager named Axel Udakubana from Rwanda. That is a Christian, not a Muslim, a Christian. Are you gonna burn down a church now that you know he's a Christian? Is that the natural response we as people should have? Official sources confirmed who's the person behind this misinformation. And let me tell you, this is how dangerous misinformation can be. It can lead you to do the wrong things. The person behind this misinformation is Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson is an anti-Islam activist. Most of the biggest platform he has is on X, Twitter. That was where he tweeted that this guy, the murderer, was a Muslim. And you know, because of his contribution to this information, these riots happened, and innocent people were injured, and a mosque was burned down. I'm not sure if it was one or more than one. To be honest, I don't even know the guy. I just heard of him today from an official news site that said Tommy Robinson was the main contributor to the misinformation that led to these riots. People are so gullible, really. Like, I mean this with no offense, but you guys are. It's really bad.
Gosh.
That's a shapeshifter. Story time. Growing up in Haiti, or anyone who has Haitian parents can tell you that there is such a thing as shapeshifters, lugauts in Haiti. And that is the reason why they also tell you whenever you hear a cat sounding like that outside your house at a certain time at night, you should not go outside to go see what's wrong with the cat, because usually it's not a cat, and you will not live to see or tell the story of what you would witness. So I remember one time we were all in the house. It was late, very, very late. Usually we will stay up even though we cannot be outside at a certain time. If you go to Haiti, you should always listen to the locals when they tell you do not go at a certain area, to a certain area, or at a certain time go outside. Because trust me, you won't make it back in the house. And I'm not even over-exaggerating. But anyway, so we were all in the house. We were young, but there was a bunch of grown-ups in the house also. Everybody's sleeping, and we were all waking up by this big boom that was on top of the house. And in Haitian houses, in Haiti, they actually don't have like real like roof like we have here, but they have like metals. So any little thing you can hear it. Even if the rain, we usually were able to fall asleep with the rain sound because it's just so loud and it's so soothing and all that stuff. But when the nightmare starts, trust me, you will hear every single thing. So we're sleeping and we're all waking up at this boom. Even the children, you know how children can sleep real well, right? They sleep through everything. We all were waking up. But the grown-ups already know because they're so used to it. And also we know a well-known lugau in the town that everybody could respect because we know how powerful she is. And a lot of people have been taken out by her, but they can never prove that it was her until one day. Okay. So anyways, we're all sleeping and we're waking up by this sound. And we just hear footsteps on top of the house just walking as if like it's like, you know, grains falling in the house, but it's like real loud footsteps, just walking, and all the adults just start praying, and the children were just scared because we're so used to hearing stories about that happening, and eventually it happened to us. So we're like scared, and the adults are praying, even though like voodoo is a religion in Haiti, they still pray. A lot of people pray but still practice voodoo because that's really our religion. Just like the Catholic people, they also practice voodoo, but also they tell you that it's bad. Anyways, so they're praying. The children are trying to figure out what's going on. While the baby, my aunt had a baby that was just a few weeks old, not even a month, a few weeks old. The baby just kept
crying non-stop. And they usually, whenever they come in on top of your house, they're coming for the baby, not children who are a certain age. They're coming for the innocent, right? So the baby's crying. The people are praying, so there's a lot going on, and the noise on top and everything. All of a sudden, the noise stopped, but we hear a cat right by the door, literally right at the door, right? This cat just sounded like a baby. It's literally almost matching the sound of the baby that's crying. The cat sounded like a baby, scratching at the door, making noises, scratching at the door, making noise, and that's when the prayers started louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. And eventually the children fell asleep because the cat just kept going. I fell asleep because I was young at the time. Then eventually we heard the story the next day, but then what really made us believe it is what we saw the next day, what we experienced the next day. So we fell asleep. The adults, I guess, continue to do whatever they're doing. The next day we wake up to the horror of everything. The baby that was crying was basically covered in ants, covered head to toe, ants eating the baby's skin, everything. I mean, I should have given you guys a warning. Eating everything. But of course, everything is still intact, but the skin is ant mark, bite marks from the ants. Baby, gone. Pass. Don't know why, don't know how, but the baby's gone. What happened last night happened. Next morning, wake up, baby's gone. And that was the first child that my aunt lost. And then finally after that, she just kept losing children up until 7 kids. She lost 7 kids until she actually stopped having kids. Every time one passed, she has another one. Every time one passed, I'm like, as someone who has common sense, you would think, okay, I'll stop after maybe the 3rd or 4th one. Well, she just kept having children. Eventually, she decided, okay, well, I'm not going to have any more kids if I'm going to keep losing them. But when she had her first son, which is the oldest child, that child survived because she didn't live in the house. She didn't live in that town when she had that child, so that child survived. But eventually, she lost her life to the same thing. And also, I lost my godmom to the same thing. I have a story for that. Also, my older sister who lives right now in the United States, we almost lost her to a neighbor who was practicing brujeria, voodoo. Very good person, good people, but it was a mistake that happened, and we were able to figure it all out. If you guys want to hear about that story, I will tell you. But my mom even sent money for us to buy like coffin for her, preparing for her funeral and everything. Now she's a nurse. Anyway, guys, bye.
Whoa. I mean, that's a shocking story, Seekers. Like I said, we heard that cat sounding like it definitely was sounding like a person, man. She broke it down for us. What do you guys think, man? We've seen like skinwalkers before, but they said this is shapeshifter, so are they like different things? 2 separate things? Talk about it down below.
Story time on the time that I saw my neighbor who had already passed away going to go get water while I was on my way back from getting water to go to the house. And when I got to the house, I found out that she had passed away that morning, and I didn't even know that. So this was kind of crazy. I'm laughing because I couldn't sleep for a good month and a half after all this happened, right? So I told the story during Halloween a couple years ago on YouTube, and the feedback was crazy. So I figured I'll just bring it back since TikTok people don't know about it. So going back to Haiti, I was very, very young. We had this neighbor that used to sell those things that you will light up at night if you have mosquitoes. They shake like a snake. I don't know what they're called. Maybe if you know, let me know in the comment below. But she used to sell those things, and one day she just felt sick. Very, very sick. We just never saw her. We will go to her. So every time we order, this person will come to the door and give us what we need. But Sister Mary, which is the lady who always gives us the things that we need, just hadn't been showing up. But as a child, I'm like, okay, well, it's her house. Maybe she's either in the house, don't want to come out, or she went to the next town over to go visit her family. And hey, that's a normal thing. You can just go visit your family for like 6 months and then come back, right?
Okay.
So eventually my aunt came and told us that Sister Mary, that was her name, is not feeling well. She's at home, but she's just not feeling well. As children, we just let it go. Okay, well, Sister Mary's sick, whatever. Well, one day, I was sent to get water. It was my turn to go get water. So the way to go get water is basically, it's like 15 minutes away, but you do carry the water, and we take turn in the house as children. They sent different people different days, right? So this one particular day, it was early in the morning, they sent me to go get water. I'd say maybe, well, not really early. It was summertime. I'd say around like 10, 11. They sent me to go get water. I went to go collect water.
Right.
And as I was coming back from collecting water, I'm walking down. It's 15-minute walk. I'm carrying the thing on top of my head. I'm walking down, and I saw someone who looks like Sister Mary. And my aunt was saying how frail she was. She's losing a lot of weight, blah, blah, blah. But when I saw this person, she looked just like I remember Sister Mary to be, like how she was before, you know, thick. You know, she wasn't like fat, but she was thick. You know, she looked fine. She looked normal. She didn't look sick. So I saw her. I said hello to her. We're talking. And, you know, I told her, we haven't seen you. We heard that you were sick. Yeah, so we heard that you were sick. How are things doing? You look like you're doing much better now. And she answered me like normal, like someone she knows, right?
Okay.
So I just went on about my business. I told her have a good day. She told me she was going to go collect water, and she had the bucket in her hand and everything. So I told her have a good day, and I continued on my merry way. So I ended up going home that day, and I told my sister, I'm like, yo, you will never guess who I just saw at the water thing, right? So I told her a whole story about this lady that I just saw, and we know her because she's our neighbor. So I'm like, yeah, I saw her. You know, she looked good. I don't know what Aunt was talking about because she doesn't look sick. Her eyes literally opened up as if she just saw a ghost. I'm like, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that?
Okay.
She says, oh, nothing. So I'm like, okay. I just went about my day and continued doing whatever I was doing until a few minutes later, I hear people screaming and yelling. Well, the news have been spreading in the whole town that Sister Mary has passed away. I'm looking at my sister and I'm thinking, what the fuck? What do you mean Sister Mary passed away? I just saw Sister Mary. What do you mean? And she looked fine.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's yelling. Nobody's telling me what's going on. And then finally, my sister told me, oh, yeah, Sister Mary died this morning. I'm like, there's no way. How could Sister Mary die this morning? I just told you I saw her this morning. She's like, well, that's the crazy thing because you're telling me you just saw her and Sister Mary died before you went to go collect water.
Ghost confirmed? Spirit?
From there on, I kid you not, I could not speak. I could not move. Everything was crazy.
Here we go.
Man, what do you guys think about that story? Was that like a ghost or she communicating with spirit or something? Like a man, she was talking to a person, but they already passed. So, who is she talking to?
Virginia teen
Insane.
dies after she tried to summon a Haitian voodoo god, Papa Legua. So Love decided to dabble in the darker voodoo arts, but she ain't got no knowledge of how this thing really go. That's why you gotta watch when you practicing something without having a self-evaluation journey that you've been on. You heard me? I don't know why you thought summoning an African descendant god will help you. Papa in Haiti is known as the Great Executioner, and it's said that he could speak many different languages and persuade people at his will. And once again, he resides at the spiritual crossroads. So let me give y'all some insight every time you face with a difficult decision you gotta make. Rather that being life or death decisions or career-based decisions. Quit thinking about calling on some deity gonna point you in the right direction if you haven't done the self-work. Because you could get fooled by a spirit that you might think is holy and lovely for a spirit that's there to take over your will. So she gets in a Facebook group and start telling the people that she's about to start doing new spell work and ain't nothing wrong with trying new things. Alright. And I quote, let people have their own religion. So she started telling people, stop saying I'm from God or you can be from God. I'm wicked and I always will be. So shut the F up and let me do what I want to do. Alright. Now wicked means a religion influenced by pre-Christian beliefs and the practices of Western Europe that affirms the supernatural powers. It's a form of paganism. And this has nothing to do with voodoo practices. So now I guess her ex wants to get into it and had a fallout. So she get on Facebook talking about she about to go put her ex on her ex-girlfriend. Now mind you, her ex-girlfriend is African American. Let me give you a little quick insight on when to put spells on people or hex work on people. And they kind of taught you that on Vampire Diaries with Bonnie. Now remember when she spoke with her ancestors and her ancestors told her, if you keep drawing power from your ancestors, it's going to be a blowback to that. Which is why when Bonnie would use her powers, her nose would start bleeding. Because whatever you take from nature, you must replenish back. Which is called the circle of life, baby. Now here's an example up here where somebody also was trying to use that voodoo stuff and it fired back on them. I prayed for lots of money even though I had money. I was greedy and I stopped my voodoo sacrifices. I was punished by losing my leg in an accident. I'm getting money which is worthless to me. I'd rather have my legs back. The woman I wanted to marry left me because of my leg. I lost my promising career and I had to totally change my college studies for a degree that was worthless to me. All because I messed with the spirits. And you keep on playing and not listening, you're gonna learn the hard way, baby. So back to Kate. So now we get a picture where she tried to make a voodoo doll that looked like her. Got the girl hair twisted like dreads. We don't know what petition she wrote. We don't know if she had needles in the doll. She might have even had her real hair samples in the damn doll, you hear me? Now I want to know, baby, what in your right mind think that you can call on an African deity to do some harm to an African person and you are a European woman? In what world do you think that makes sense, baby? Like, come on now, love. And then people tried to warn you before doing this. They told you not to go along with this. They told you not to move forward with this. Practicing other people's African spirituality when you're not African is dangerous. So now I start getting beat for. You saw Papa Lego today, huh? You thought you saw him. And that's the problem. You getting indulged in something where you never was initiated inside the culture, mama. You gotta think, man. Nah. Kayla was a beautiful woman, had a beautiful soul. She done a lot for her community. She was a stand-up woman. She just got involved in some things without the proper knowledge that led to some bad outcome. Nah. So Caitlin eventually died in a bathtub, and she left behind a beautiful daughter named Aaliyah. Which is very sad, baby. She adored her daughter greatly. Just for her daughter to have to go through that, prayers and condolences to her family. Now later on, a few spiritual leaders did a reading on the woman and noticed that she wasn't summoning Papa Legua, but Barun. And because of shows like American Horror Story, where they gave you a mixture of Barun and Papa Legua, they had you thinking that he was Papa Legua, but Papa Legua on American Horror Story, that was actually depicted as Barun.
What do you guys think of that story, man? He broke it down. All the way down, man. He went more definite on that story.
Good morning. It's 9:34 in the morning, so it's time for another story. And this time the story is being recorded late because I spent my entire morning talking about the anguish of what it means to be a black woman in America. So today calls for a feel-good story, and I'm going to tell you the most popular folktale in Haiti. That's right, It's The Little Mermaid, but darker. This most likely will be divided in 3 parts or 4 because I'm taking a lot of time to talk about. But just so you understand, the majority of the time the story is being told, the protagonist is a fish. But usually as you grow up, it makes more sense that the protagonist is a mermaid or a merman. Most of the time the protagonist is male because the leading romance protagonist, the second one, is a woman who goes to the water. She's a little girl. But at times you will find that the protagonist is a mermaid, a woman, because the leading person that's going to be the love interest is a little boy. Alright, let's get started. The Little Mermaid, with a Haitian epis. Also, a lot of Haitians believe in mermaids. So there was a young girl, and we're going to call her Rose, who had a brother named Richard, a younger brother. Every morning they would go to the spring to get water to do their daily chores. Whether that's cooking, cleaning, whatever they needed the water for, they would go to the river to get it. One morning, Rose heads to the river by herself, and as she's getting some water, she has a ring, a silver ring on one of her fingers, obviously, and it slips down and it falls in the stream. Now, she was really fond of this ring, so obviously she's really sad. She's like, oh my god, I lost my ring, wah. And then as she's like frantically looking for it, out pops the head. And in this story, I'm going to make him a mermaid. So out pops a little head. And so as the head goes up, she realizes it's a fish. It's a man, but it's a fish. And the fish spits up her ring. So she takes the ring and she thanks the fish. And the fish, shockingly to her, speaks. The fish says, hi, I'm Tizan. And she says, hi, I'm Rose. Tizan says, this is my water. This is my spring. If you want water, like clean water, because your water is clean, but I know where the real good shit is. If you want better water, you could just holler at me and I'll go get it for you. And she goes, oh, thank you. But how do I holler at you? And so he teaches her this little song. And so he goes, if you ever need to reach me, sing this song. Tizan, Tizan, mon ami, Tizan. Tizan, Tizan, mon ami, Tizan. You get it? It literally translates to Teze, my friend Teze. But in the book, she has it written in a more like, I don't know. She has it written how she wants. But that's how I remember the song.
So, this happened in Miami. And yeah, I still live in Miami. I was like around 6 or 7. This was like back in 2000, I think 2006, I believe. So, we used to stay in this building. And in the building, it used to be full of Haitians, full of Haitians. If you're Haitian and you know what's a lugawu, then you know what I mean. So, it was one night, it was me and my brother, we was in the room, we was sleeping, my mom and my dad was in their room. Okay. So it was like 2, I was saying like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We sleeping, we little kids, we sleeping, blah, blah. Then randomly something happened. Bruh, something told us to get up. We woke up, literally, me and him woke up. And I swear, bruh, this lugawu lady, bruh, we've been having problems with for the longest. She was in our room. Like, she was literally in our room, bruh. Like, literally in our room. Staring at us. And we was on the wall. We, like, the TV right here and the wall right there. And we were stuck on the wall. We don't know what to do. But she was mostly coming from my little brother. Because, my little lugawus, they like young kids. If they see a beautiful young child, they're going to take them. So, as a big brother, I was not going to let that shit happen. So I fought her. You feel me? I'm getting right with her a little bit. She low-key beat me up. But, I'm getting right with her a little bit. Give her a quick soklo and everything. Damn punch me in my rib. To this day, like, if I'm running so fast, my right hip will start hurting like crazy. So we fight, boom, boom, boom. My little brother, he yelling. Then I start yelling. Then my mom came, barged in the room. Then she just disappeared, like boom. So my mom was like, okay, my point. A couple of days later, man, my auntie, my mom, even my dad, my uncle, they all went after that lady. They whooped that lady out. They banged on the door. They did everything it takes. To this day, bruh, that shit still scarred the fuck out of me. But it's part of being a Haitian, that's what most Haitians go through in life. Most. I can't say all, but most. You feel me? But yes, lugawus, these vampires in Haiti, that's called lugawus, they are real. They are real. If you're from Haiti, you know what I mean. Like, even American kids, Haitian American kids, y'all know what I mean about lugawus, bro. This shit real. It's real. Like, it's really real. It's not American vampires.
Damn, we put a vampire at 7? Like I said, we're checking out a different side of TikTok, so these stories, man. Freaking shocking me, bro. Breaking down the culture. But at 7, he had to fight off to protect his brother, and he did it too. Pops to him, man.
I have been like damn near harassing me for this.
Lugas again.
Creepy story time.
Trying to get at
it all
him.
happened in Haiti. My mom was throwing a party, like a little get together, and everyone was having fun, but it was getting late, so everybody had to go home. After they went home, my mom heard a big sound coming from outside. It sounded like this. Yeah, like a cow. So she went outside to check. She saw a huge cow, the size of the road. No, literally, the size of the road.
What the hell was it doing?
They know exactly why they're scared, but you might not, so let me tell you. Make it a long story short, nobody with that much money is just going to be handing it around. Oh, it must be juju money. They're not falling for that. But this is not the point of this video. I wanted to make this video to tell you that it is the month of December, quite possibly the worst month of the year for the normal citizens, but the best month of the year for people doing witchcraft. My grandma always told me the month of December is the devil's month. Yeah.
Really?
The devil goes hard on this month of December because it is the last month of the year. So he needs to put in as much work as possible. So my number one advice to you would be, do not, absolutely not, pick up any type of logo from the floor. Yeah, no, they will get you. And be kind. It goes a very long way.
I know that about the month of December now. I better start paying attention.
Yes, in Haiti, please mind your business. Story time. This one is brought to you by my uncle. This is a Lugawu story, so things might get a little weird, but bear with me. So this lady, we're gonna call her Katya, okay? She is a SW. If you don't know what a SW is, just look it up. But that night, she was out on the street, running the streets, you know, trying to sell some puss. She was standing out there all day. She ain't had no customers. So it's getting late and she's like, you know what, maybe I should leave. But right at the moment that she's thinking that she's gonna leave, this guy in this rich, expensive car pulls up. And for that time, for somebody to have a car like that, that meant that that person had money, okay? It meant that that person meant business. So the car rolls up in front of the SW and he's like, yo, how much for? And she gives him the prices. Depending on what you want, I can provide it for you. He wanted to take her home. He didn't want service on the spot. So he wanted to take her to his house. So she agreed. She gets in his car and they start to drive away. Now the guy, there's really nothing suspicious or off-putting about him, considering like she's a SW. She's used to weirdos. She's used to creeps. So this is like, there's nothing standing out about this guy. He's on the steering wheel and she's next to him on the passenger seat. So they're driving, and y'all. And at some point, it looks like this driver is like basically falling asleep. Like he's just disassociating from the wheel and he looks like he's tired. She doesn't think anything of it and they keep going. They get a little bit further down the road. She saw something from her peripheral morph. So she does one of those and notices that the man who was driving the car turned into a dog.
What the fuck?
With his two front paws on the wheel. This SW is witnessing a dog driving a car when a few seconds before it was a man. So the SW proceeds to take out her cigarette. She had a cigarette like in the back of her ear. She proceeded to take out the cigarette. She lights up the cigarette and starts to smoke. As she lights her cigarette, she starts to chant. She says, moi-même c'est petit Jacques Maget mieux. Pita au moins Jacques Maget. Jacques Maget is a loi. He don't play about his children, so I think that was just her reinforcing her protection. After she says that like 3 times, Jacques Maget c'est petit tout, the freaking dog next to him looks like something startled the dog, and the motherfucker started morphing back into a human. And now it's back to a man driving the car. Now, of course, the story does not end here. A man looks over to her and says, I feel weird. Did you see anything weird? Do you feel anything weird? The SW looking straight ahead at the road says, nope. He said, you didn't sense anything? She said, no, I've just been in this car smoking a cigarette. She said, why? You feeling something? He says, yeah, I felt a little weird, so I just wanted to know if you saw something, if you felt anything. She said, nah, I ain't see nothing. Must be something in the air. He proceeded to drive all the way to his house. She got there and was absolutely horrified. So while the guy went to go take a shower, she went into his kitchen, grabbed a knife, and kept it underneath her pillow. The whole time she was laying down like this, one arm underneath the pillow, holding on to the weapon. She would go on and do. She held on to that knife whole time, just in case. After they were done, it was way too dark and way too late for her to leave anyway, so she proceeded on staying the night, but she did not sleep all night. All night, she had that one hand under that pillow. The next morning, they woke up, he paid her, and she went on her way. But I was like, wait a minute, she went through with it? And she had to. If she had switched up anywhere in that timeline, that would have been it for her. Anyway, if you guys like these spooky Haitian stories, you can expect that I will be dropping another story time tomorrow. And I have an entire playlist of like 40-something videos, so go ahead and check them out. Go ahead and leave me a follow on TikTok and on Instagram. And leave me a comment letting me know what was your genuine reaction to this story. Also, thank you guys for 50,000 followers. Aye, boo-boo.
That's crazy that she still went through with it.
Not only are you not safe on the outside, be careful with how you reject men.
Not everybody can.
Episodes in kids' cartoons.
Talk about
In an episode of Care Bears, the bears and their cousins find themselves in a place called Drab City, where color has vanished and people who live there don't seem to care about anything. This was caused by a mysterious force that took everyone's color and feelings away. And slowly, it started going after the bears, and they eventually gave in until help arrived.
The whole episode was about mental health, and it came off as way too heavy for a kid's show. Next, in The Very Odd Parents, Timmy gets upset for not being appreciated for the good deeds he's done and wishes he was never born. He's then transported to an alternate universe where it shows that everyone's lives are better without it. And to add insult to injury, Timmy gets sent to what's basically the pits of hell. And when Timmy gets a hold of Jorgen's wand, he takes time to think if wishing himself to exist is worth making everyone's lives miserable. It's a pretty dark and messed up plot. And lastly, this Thomas and Friends episode starts as per usual, with Thomas giving a helping hand. Then, it's not long after that a character named Stepney ends up getting lost in a scrapyard, getting lost in a fog and almost getting scrapped in the process. This was meant to warn kids to be careful while on their journeys, or you may not live to tell your story.
Ghost stories from...
Hey man, that's freaking crazy, bro. The messaging, man, in these kid shows, man, it's like when you think about it, when you're a kid, you're just so oblivious to it, but this real life messaging is in all pieces of media, man. You just gotta be able to see it. Because I sure wasn't picking up on that as a kid.
From around the world. This is hands down my most requested video. Mexico, La Llorona. Once there was a woman named Maria who married a rich man and had 2 children. But eventually her marriage hit a rough patch and her husband started spending less and less time with her and the kids. Until finally Maria caught him cheating. Absolutely enraged at this, she ends up drowning her 2 children. She immediately regrets it and tried to save them, but it was too late. Then she stopped eating and grew thinner and thinner until she resembled a skeleton. Eventually she finally passed away by the same river that she drowned her children, still crying and mourning over them. So after she died, she went to heaven but was denied entry. She was banished to purgatory on earth until she could find her lost sons. And that's how she became La Llorona, which also translates to the weeping woman. She floats over bodies of water in a long white funeral gown. She also kidnaps children and attacks cheating husbands.
Damn. Okay. I'm probably gonna have to call edit on this one. Yeah, I'm gonna call it edit. What do you guys think?
The darkest conspiracy theories. The Teletubbies theory. The theory says that the show is inspired by historic events.
Really?
That happened in a Bulgarian mental facility. Each Teletubby is inspired by a kid that was experimented on. Lola was based on a child who had facial disfigurement. And had to smile all the time. And ended up lying in his own puke. And the doll was based on a child who fell into fire, which is recognizable why his color is red.
Here's some conspiracy theories that I
believe
think have passed the level of theory and are true. Women's clothing is designed with little to no pockets for the sole purpose of selling more purses. High-end art is just a scheme to launder money and avoid taxes. Like this one here, sold for $43 million. This one sold for $46 million. This one was $84 million. Someone actually paid $87 million for this. This has got to contribute to inflation in some way. Things that happen in the entertainment industry, like with movies, TV shows, video games, are done on purpose to gauge interest and get opinions before an official announcement. That little bit of dust that comes off the end of tissues when you pull them out of the box is specifically designed to get you to sneeze, that way you need more tissues. The government orchestrates their own conspiracy theories to get us distracted from actual problems.
Hey man, she was hitting the head on the nail, bro. Especially like I said, how some of those theories, they can be true. I'm about to say, you guys think, especially the last one, when she said how sometimes the government, they be trying to put theories out there trying to distract us from the bigger truth. That's why I tapped in with this, or tuned into this type of content, man, so I can learn, so I can expand my mind. I didn't want to be distracted no more. Where's this guy?
Some trees can actually grow inside of your lungs. In Russia, doctors performed surgery on a man named Artyom Sidorkin, suspecting that he had a cancerous tumor in his lungs. Instead of a tumor, though, they found a 5-centimeter fir tree branch inside of his lung.
What?
Doctors believe that Sidorkin accidentally swallowed a fir tree bud, which later grew into a branch. The probability of dying on your birthday is higher than any other day. There is actually a 14% chance of dying on your birthday than any other day. This is a shocking phenomenon called the birthday effect, which may be due to extra stress, drinking more, or people engaging in risky behaviors on their birthdays. A devil's chair exists in many cemeteries. In various cemeteries around the world, there are stone chairs called devil's chairs. These chairs were often used by mourners to sit and grieve, but legends and superstitions have given them a sinister reputation. Some stories claim that if you sit in one at midnight, the devil himself will appear. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York City than you are to be bitten by a shark. There could be someone secretly living in your wall or attic without you even knowing it. It's called frogging, and people say that it's becoming more and more common. So if you hear strange noises, notice things missing or moved, or your box of Frosted Flakes cereal is all of a sudden empty, there could be a frogger living in your home.
Here's what some of the most...
I didn't even know that was an actual term, but froggers, that's actually one of my worst fears ever, man. That's like imagine somebody in your own space and you have no idea. Gotta pay attention, man. And that fir tree going inside that person, I would have said that's impossible, man, but we just saw it. What do you know?
Most famous monsters actually are the chupacabra. The goat-griefing livestock leech believed to be first seen in Puerto Rico was more than likely a dog with a severe case of mange, and that's when mites burrow into the skin and basically cause parasitic alopecia. Bigfoot, different animals, same beast, or whatever it was Kobe said. Anyway, it was probably a mangy bear. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. What the hell mange does? Coke bear done graduated to meth?
Ooh.
I don't mean numbers. The Loch Ness Monster. There have been many theories, but what's most likely was probably just an escaped circus elephant with trunks out like Dragon Ball. For centuries, there have been stories of killer Cyclops, a one-eyed op to humanity. Whole time, someone probably just found an expired elephant skull in an Olympic long jump to a conclusion. And last, almost every sea monster story you've ever heard was probably just some whale freeing his willy. That's exactly what you think it is, the more you know.
Here's how Area 51 became the center for alien conspiracy theories. In 1989, a man named Bob Lazar claimed that he had worked at a facility near Area 51 known as S4. According to Lazar, the facility was being used to reverse engineer alien technology recovered from crashed UFOs. Lazar's claims were highly controversial, and many people dismissed him as a hoaxer. However, his story only served to fuel the already existing rumors of alien activity at Area 51. Since then, countless conspiracy theories have emerged about what's really going on at Area 51. Some people believe that the government is hiding evidence of extraterrestrial life, while others think that the base is being used to develop top-secret weapons and technology.
What do you guys think?
That's what Mordecai said. Take that back, Rigby. They started fighting, and it didn't take long for them to bump into a microwave which took them up into space. And while in space, the argument still continued. You're over here turning on me, Mordecai, but I'm your bro. I'm just looking out for you. That's what Mordecai said. I don't care. I've been trying to get with Margaret for years, and yet every time she turns me down. And next thing you know, Mordecai pushes Rigby off, killing Rigby. That's when Mordecai says, wait, no! But the damage was already done, and Rigby's funeral went down the following week. After that day, Mordecai got so depressed, and ended up killing himself later that day by jumping off a cliff. Mordecai killed his best friend, and he disintegrated into the abyss, all because he was a simp.
You couldn't take that L, bro. It drove him insane. What the hell? I can't believe that freaking aired. That was on like Cartoon Network too. I might have to check. We're gonna have to review that episode, man. See if it's legit.
Who eat humans. Komodo dragon. Piranhas. Crocodiles. Jaguars. African driver ant.
African driver ants eat humans?
Bear. Lion. Catfish.
Catfish eat humans now? What the hell?
Tiger. Cheetah. Hyenas. Shark. Dog.
Dogs too? What the hell?
Polar bear.
This is part 2 of the crime scene
That
photos
shocked me.
released from the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case, revolving around the murder of her mom, Dee Dee. This is another photo that was taken inside the house. You can see that the kitchen is absolutely trashed. This is inside their living room. Again, literally trash everywhere. This next one, please, if you're squeamish, look away. Okay, I cropped the photo, but basically her mom was found in this pink bed sheet. I'm covering a lot of, She was found laying on her stomach with stab wounds all over her body and a huge gash mark on her neck. Again, those photos are literally online where you see everything. I cropped this one again, but this is the crime scene bit. This half, it was just all blood and a wrapped body. I know a lot of you are really curious and you want to see these photos, but they are very dark and gruesome. Even photos of Dee Dee nude from the waist down. It was a very dark and gruesome murder.
Cursed games you should never play. Part 24.
Dark case.
Blue baby, baby blue. Begin at night. Go into a bathroom and turn off all the lights. Then lock the door behind you and face the mirror. As you're looking into the mirror, position your arms as though you're cradling a baby. While doing this, chant the phrase blue baby, baby blue 13 times. As you do this, you'll feel the weight in your arms begin to grow. And at some point, you'll start to feel scratching on your arms. Once you feel the scratching, immediately drop the baby in the toilet, flush it, unlock the door, and leave. If you're alive, you won. But there are 2 possible losing conditions. The lesser of 2 being the scratching in your arms becoming unbearable, or the second one being a woman appearing in the mirror. She will demand her baby back and probably kill you.
I never play those type of
These are
games.
scary cartoon
Never.
truths that would terrify you. Part 12. Okay, so Talking Angela started as a mobile phone app for a lot of children. Angela is a white cat with blue eyes who has conversations with you and could answer any question you ask. But recently, Talking Angela turned into an app to spy on young children. It is said the app was taken over by a creepy man or a very creepy group. It's said that if you're over 18, nothing happens. But if you're younger than that, the cat will then start asking you very weird questions. Like, where do you live, what is your name, and what are your parents' names? The creepy man or group are able to take pictures of you through your own phone. Also, if you zoom in on Angela's eye, you can see a man watching you. And if that's not scary enough, a young boy named Eli went missing shortly after downloading the app. And he was never found.
Hey man, that's how you gotta you have to know what type of apps you download, man. Especially when it comes to these kids' apps, because they just use as a cover for something else, man. Like a simple kids app, bro. You think talking to a cat, you wouldn't think nothing of it. It's like it's the perfect cover, seekers. We learning out here. Got it. Call it like I see it.
Every time I go to chase it, it runs. I don't think it's a good idea I chase it anymore. You might think I'm playing with him. Every time. I see him, but I'm not gonna act like I see him. I see him right there ducking. Oh, what the hell is wrong with his head?
I see that too.
Why does he look like that? I want to try to zoom. Oh my god, why does he look like that?
All of the Rugrats are a
Oh.
part of Angelica's imagination. They aren't real. None of them. Chucky died in the same accident that his mom died. And that's why his dad is always so nervous and freaking out, because he has to deal with it. What about Tommy? Well, Tommy was a stillborn.
And that's why Stu goes down into the basement late at night, making toys for the son he wish he had.
That's why he's always depressed.
What are you doing?
Making chocolate pudding.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Why on earth are you making chocolate pudding?
Because I've lost control of my life.
And the twins ended up being a miscarriage. It was early in the pregnancy, so Angelica didn't know if it was going to be a boy or a girl, so she just imagined both.
What about Susie?
Susie is real and going along with all of Angelica's crazy imaginations because it's her only friend. She tries to make her happy. But the one baby that is real is Dill. Dill goes against Angelica's crazy imagination and doesn't do what she expects. And that's why Angelica freaks out on Dill all the time and gets so upset.
Rugrats, man, they weren't real the whole time? Show that there to a couple of people, their minds gonna be blown. The hell? The hell?
The reason I had to move out of my flat.
Okay.
I was home alone.
The hell is that? It's staring at her, and the dogs can see it too. It's like the dog can sense it. If you know that ain't your mom, don't open it up. How the hell did they unlock the door?
Then what's your name then?
Yeah, what the hell? She was right now opening up that door. That was a creepy one. For sure.
This teenager became concerned for her ex and tried to help him. Little did she know she was about to be brutally killed. Lauren Astley was 18 years old from Wayland, Massachusetts. She began dating Nathaniel Fujita when the pair were in high school together. Nathaniel was a popular football player. The pair were described as being quite on and off. On the 1st of April 2011, she decided to end the relationship with Nathaniel. However, it did not go down very well at all, and his friends reported that he became depressed and withdrawn. He stopped doing things he used to enjoy doing, and he just didn't seem to care about life anymore. In summer 2011, the pair attended the same graduation party. It was reported that at the party, Nathaniel got quite jealous of when Lauren was talking to other boys. Nathaniel got quite drunk, and Lauren's mum was actually at the party, and Lauren ran up to her crying. She said that Nathaniel wouldn't leave her alone and was harassing her. Now, Nathaniel got so angry at this party that he punched the tent that everybody was in and caused it to collapse.
Damn.
He was then asked to leave the party. It was reported that Nathaniel started drinking quite heavily and becoming even more depressed. His mum actually got so worried about him that she reached out to Lauren. She asked Lauren if she could help and maybe speak to him, and Lauren agreed because she was concerned. Lauren agreed to chat to him and meet him at his house on the 3rd of July 2011. Tragically, she had no idea she would not leave the house alive. She texted him stating here and entered the house at approximately 7:05 p.m. Nathaniel lured her into the garage, slit her throat and strangled her with a bungee cord. He then drove her car to Town Beach and disposed of the keys down a drain. After running home, he put her body in his car and dumped her in a secluded area nearby. Obviously, Lauren's family got really concerned when she didn't get home. Nathaniel, as obviously the last person she was meeting up with, was reported as a suspect. Police found bloodstains in his garage and a big bag full of clothes soaked in blood. Lauren's body was found not long after. Nathaniel's defense in court stated that he was suffering a massive depressive episode and therefore should not be held criminally responsible.
Really?
However, luckily he was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. People are calling this case the Incest House of Horrors. This case comes with just about the biggest trigger warning for the most horrific things you could hear. It was October 2023 in the quiet Polish village called Koniki. An arrest was about to happen which would shake the small community. The true horrors of what had been going on under everyone's noses were absolutely chilling. Peter Girasik was 54 years old. He and his wife Hannah had had a staggering 12 children together. Hannah had passed away 15 years prior, leaving Peter to look after the children on his own. Now, the house that he lived in was far from ideal for such a huge family. Locals were also often concerned about hearing cries and screaming from inside the home. They knew Peter had a close relationship with his 20-year-old daughter, Paulina, but they had no idea just how disturbing things were getting inside the home. That was until local workers at a cake shop nearby tipped off social services. They had serious concerns about what was going on in the property, and they were right to be worried. When officers arrived at the home, they could smell something absolutely potent. Upon closer inspection of the property, they found decomposing dead babies in the basement. 2 of the tiny bodies were wrapped in plastic bags, and one was just lying on the floor. Now, at the time of the discovery, Peter wasn't actually living in this house with all 12 of his children. Some had escaped. He was living in the house with his daughter Paulina and his disabled son Damien. It would later be revealed that sometimes Damien was seen sat outside the house crying. He told officers that his dad would have S with his sister, so the dad's daughter, and regularly chase Damien out the house and beat him when he wanted to do this. Damien was abused and was given little more than cold rice to live off. Horrifically, police discovered that the deceased babies in the basement were actually the product of incest. The 3 babies found in the cellar were believed to have been killed just after they were born. Frustratingly, Peter had actually been on the radar of police. He'd been investigated 5 times over allegations of incest. He was arrested finally by police, and his daughter Paulina was also arrested. Thankfully, many of Peter's children had managed to flee, and his one daughter, Cassia, referred to him as a monster. He's now facing charges of murder, incest, and R.
This world can be a freaking truly dark place sometimes, man. Truly, bro. That was a dark and eerie case, Seekers. If you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, I've been seeing the support in these past couple of videos. I just want us to say it doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you, guys, man. Make sure you guys follow me on my social media so we can always stay connected. Hit that thumbs up button, man. Like I said, even comment on the video, man. Like I said, every comment helps to push us into this algorithm. So even if you guys just want to say hi, put that down below, man. It won't hurt. You guys can catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.